We are going to begin our special meeting this evening. The purpose of the meeting, or the agenda that was posted, is to assist the Board of Education, the administration, and the residents of the district in accomplishing the business of the special meeting. This is a special meeting of the Mukwonago Area School District, Waukesha County, State of Wisconsin. This special media was announced in the official school district area newspaper, the Waukesha Freeman. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for attending the meeting tonight. Tonight there are qualifications as to who can vote. So all Mukwonago area residents are required to register at the door to vote. So if you haven't registered, please register. We are following our annual meeting rules. A citizen, so to be eligible, you must be a citizen of the United States, 18 years of age or older, a resident of the district for at least 28 days before any election. If a person is challenged as to his qualifications to vote, the chairperson shall state the above qualifications necessary to vote to the challenged person. If such challenged person declares he is eligible to vote and the challenge is not withdrawn, the chairperson shall administer the following oath or affirmation to the challenged person. You do solemnly swear or affirm that you are an actual resident of this school district and that you are qualified according to law to vote in this manner. A person taking such oath or affirmation shall be permitted to vote, but if he refuses to take such oath or affirmation, he may not vote. The school clerk will act as the clerk if they are present. Otherwise, the chairperson will call for nomination of the clerk. At this time, I call for a nomination for the clerk.
Nominate Laura Strika, please.
I don't believe Laura would be eligible as she's not a resident of the district.
Oh. Which one are you pointing to, Tom?
I nominate Stephanie Blue.
All right, Stephanie Blue, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
I'll Sorry, Joe.
No problem. Sorry about that. We have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Seeing that there are none, nominations are closed, and by a vote of show of hands, do we vote to approve Stephanie as the clerk for tonight's meeting? 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16 in favor of Stephanie. Is there anybody opposed to Stephanie being the clerk? Stephanie did not raise her hand, therefore Stephanie is our clerk this evening. So the nominations are closed. Stephanie is our clerk. Stephanie, we will ask you now to conduct balloting if there are more than 2 nominations. We will be now nominating the chairperson. Just for everybody's knowledge, the ballot may be conducted by a show of hands. The clerk who is conducting the balloting should appoint 4 temporary tellers or inspectors to conduct the balloting if we used written. After the ballots are cast, we need to count them, and then the chairperson would be in place for the meeting. The responsibilities of the chairperson is not to take part in any discussion unless he or she takes the leave from the chair to do so. The chairperson should attempt to keep discussion directed at the questions at hand. A motion to limit debate may be made in order during a discussion that seems to be getting out of hand. The chairperson should always be in control of the meeting. The chairperson should be sensitive to the desires of the electors when a motion is to be acted upon. If someone requests a division of the House on a vote, then the chair should order it. Tellers can be a help here. With matters that require further explanation, the chairperson should recognize the person able to provide information and answer the question. The chairperson should ask people who are addressing the meeting to first state their name and municipality before addressing the meeting. So do we have a nomination for chair of the committee? chair of the special meeting. Thank you.
I'll nominate Craig Verts.
Second. Yeah, I'll second that.
We have a nomination for Craig Verts and a second. Do we have any other nominations? See none. By a show of hands, please vote for Craig, yes or no. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in favor of Craig. Is there anybody opposed to Craig? Nobody. Craig is the chairperson of the committee. Craig, do you have the script up in front of you?
I do not. I'm struggling to get in here all of a sudden. Okay.
Oh, this is it right here. We just go right to action.
Purchase, action items, purchase of 917 Main Street, Mukwonago, Wisconsin. In the event a call for adoption of the purchase of this building is made, the following motions would be in order. Resolution to purchase 917 Main Street. Be it resolved that $655,000 would be to be approved to acquire the land and building at 917 Main Street, Mukwonago, to be used for the purpose of operating an off-site alternative education program.
Mr. Chairperson, the business official is here to do a presentation along with our Director of Student Services for the community in order to be an informed vote.
Okay. I'll take it over there. So thanks for bearing with all that stuff right now. So once a year we have an annual meeting, and the annual meeting has special powers that reside with the electors of the school district. So tonight and right now we're going to talk about buying a building to host our alternative education. The school board can't unilaterally buy land or a building. That power resides with the electors of the district. So while you all are electors, these folks out here also are electors. So the collective vote will ultimately say, will we do this or not? So again, only land and buildings can be purchased through an annual meeting or at a special meeting. So between annual meetings, you can have 2 special meetings where that special meeting has the same powers of the annual meeting. So we are in a special meeting. Typically, we only jump this hurdle here at the annual meeting in the summer or the early fall, but here we go with our special meeting. So tonight we're going to talk about buying a building at 917 Main Street for $655,000 to host our alternative education site for students here. So I will present the majority of this information, but to help do that, I have Christine Bowden. So Christine is going to help kind of explain what SOAR is. SOAR is our alternative education program. Christine, go ahead.
All right, so just thank you everybody for being here tonight to talk about SOAR. So SOAR is not only being talked about at a special meeting, it is also a very special place. So SOAR stands for Success, Opportunity, Accomplishments, and Resilience. SOAR is our alternative pathway school that opened its doors in 2018. It's a non-traditional pathway for students grades 9 through 12. Our students who attend SOAR are there for a variety of different reasons, but while they are in attendance at SOAR, they strive to overcome academic, social, emotional, different needs, and then they also work to transition into post-secondary career options and educational options. Several things come into play when we're looking at who is going to attend SOAR, so those admittance factors could include behavior, mental health. A student could be at risk for graduation. It might be an alternative placement for one of our students. Attendance could be a barrier or a concern. Sometimes a student may have some substance use issues or addiction concerns and may be attending SOAR as an opportunity as well. Enrollment over time, so we opened the doors in 2018, and then it has always been open for grades 9 through 12. When it first opened its doors in 2018, we ran 2 sessions a day. In this last year, in 23-24, we run 1 full day from 8:15 until 2:15. We have graduated just under 60 graduates so far from our SOAR program. If you ever have the opportunity to stop there, they have a legacy wall that is really amazing to look at for all of our kids who have graduated, and it's really something to be proud of. So one of the reasons that the district invested into an alternative education program is because it costs such a significant amount of money to send our students to off-site locations. So some of our sites that are consideration for students in our area are Genesee Lake, which is an off-site location. That yearly tuition is, as you can see up there, pretty expensive. It's between $65,000 and $80,000 a year for a student to attend. You can see Cradwell's tuition, Richardson, Woodland, and Norris. Again, all sites that we do occasionally use and currently use, but SOAR is definitely a preferred placement for our students. And then to the right side of that, you'll see the daily rates for transportation. So in addition to the tuition that we have to pay, transportation then has to be provided for students who attend alternative locations, which is why SOAR has been such a great alternative than sending all of our students to these other site locations.
So those annual transportation costs, you can see the daily rates there. Those costs, over 180 days or so in a school year can go add an additional $9,000 to $15,000 per year onto any singular student's cost to attend an off-site placement here. So really, again, this can be pricey. So we're looking for a place where we can host our alternative placement SOAR program. And this search for a permanent location goes back quite some time. So starting in 2018, at the end of the 17-18 school year, if you go online and take a look at our school board agendas and meeting minutes, you'll see that we talked about finding a location. And at that particular April 2018 meeting, we presented several options, but I picked out 4 that we wanted to take a look at and get approval from the school board. So you can see those buildings are all business-based buildings in the village of Mukwonago, and we thought that based on their location, the condition of the building itself, the rent that was being charged at that time, we wanted to host our program in those buildings. As we took the next step to rent those, we found from the village that we cannot, as a school district, place students into those buildings because they're zoned as business. It's a little ironic because some of those buildings, so sold to Mexico, 20 students could go into the restaurant, no problem. If we rented the other side of the building and they had backpacks on with books, they can't be in there. So the zoning and occupancy rules of the village really restrict what our options are. So we can't rent a space in anything that's zoned as business, which is the vast majority of all rentals available, if not all rentals in the village. A public school can only be allowed in a building that's zoned as manufacturing, so think industrial park, or something that's zoned as public, which is really something that the district either owns, like our land that we're on here is zoned as public, churches, and municipal government. So that would be like the village library and the village hall. So there's really not a lot of options in terms of where can we actually put this type of program. So we've been around, the SOAR program has existed for 6 years. Our first location in the 18-19 school year was in the Lily and Rose building. That's in the manufacturing part, just south of County Road ES. And really through an act of mercy, the building owners allowed for us to have our alternative placement location there. And after 4 years, those owners sold the building to new owners who said, we can no longer host you. So that sent us in a scramble. St. James, through another act of mercy, they took us in, and we're very appreciative of that. But they are starting a new school for the 24-25 school year coming up in September, and our lease is done with them at the end of June. So we find ourselves really with a bunch of external factors. We have to keep finding a new space, and that's difficult given an absolute lack of options. So the option that we have right now is we have a tentative agreement, which is pending the decision of the electors tonight, to buy 917 Main Street for $655,000. This is the building immediately north of the Blue Bay restaurant, to give you an idea as where this building is. So as we look at the price of the building and our options and how much does this cost, what type of investment, I'll help to kind of educate the audience here and the electors about that here. So I have 4 options. Where could we host SOAR? Really, we could rent, buy, build new, or do nothing. Renting isn't, at this time, an option I'm aware of. We have no more options now that St. James is gone. But because our most recent arrangement was to rent their facility for $40,000 per year for 4 classrooms there, We're going to use that just for comparison purposes against buying. The current option that we have now is for buying 917 Main Street for $655,000. The building will require, we're putting a placeholder in there for $200,000 to sprinkle the building. So we have to connect the building with a water lateral and then put in sprinklers. We do not think it'll be that much, but just for the sake of this conversation, that's where we're going to put that value. All right. We could build new. If you take a look at the December 2022 board meeting, you'll see in the agenda, we were asked what would it cost to build a brand new building. So we hypothesized at that time in our long-range facility planning conversation of building a 7,000 square foot building that would house not only SOAR, but our buildings and grounds, our buildings and grounds department for storage, and our print media center. And that cost was $2.8 million, so that was rather pricey. Alternatively, we could do nothing. Anytime a student needs an alternative placement, we could send them off-site to one of those options that Christine shared earlier, which I think in a long-term sense, based on the number of kids who need an alternative placement, the do-nothing option potentially could be the most costly one in a long-term sense. So over the next two slides, I'll just compare the cost of renting and buying in those two scenarios. So I have two comparisons just for the community to consider here. So if we assume that we were able to rent, even though, again, this option doesn't exist, if we were to rent a facility for $40,000 annually with those costs rising 3% each year and an interest rate of 3%, if we were to rent with those assumptions for 17 years, that would be the same price as buying the building for $655,000. The major difference between those two scenarios is at the end of the 17 years, when we rent, we would have nothing to show for it going forward, but if we were to buy the building, we would have that asset at the end of 17 years. So in this sense, buying is favorable and preferred over renting. If we look at this just a little bit differently, if we were to take $655,000 and place it into a bank account, and at the end of each month, we would take 1/12 of $40,000 to make that monthly payment, so $3,333. If we paid that amount each month in rent, and then the remaining balance of whatever was left would grow at 3% annually, and we continued that for 10 years. After 10 years, the district would have $351,000 in that account, whereas if we buy the building for $655,000 and that building appreciates by 3% annually, the building would be worth $880,000 after 10 years. So you can see from an asset standpoint, again, buying is preferred to renting. So this is the last slide. The recommendation here is that the district purchases this building. This need has been on our long-range plans and identified as a need for a long time. The pros to this here is that this will be an asset of the district. It's located near Seniors on the Go, which provides a lot of transportation for these students, so it really minimizes transportation costs. And this building is located in a favorable central location within the school district. So whether we have students attending SOAR from Big Bend area or North Prairie area, again, the village is centrally located throughout the district, and this is a good spot. The building is in excellent condition outside of adding those water sprinklers. There's not much else that's needed. So it's in a great spot. It's in excellent condition. And then finally, the district will have a permanent solution to this need. I don't foresee SOAR being a program we do away with anytime soon, so this is really a long-term investment to meet a long-term need. By buying this building, then we eliminate all uncertainty and external factors that might cause us to move, as we've experienced twice in the last 3 years, and would also reduce and minimize our out-of-district placements for students. Are there questions I can answer for anybody here in the room tonight? Ms. Werner, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Can you define for the group and anyone who's watching how we pay for this and how that transaction works? Explain to the group.
How we would pay for the new building? Sure. So we would pay for this out of Fund 46. So we have several funds that hold money for the district. Our funds that are in the 40 series pay for building improvements or for buildings themselves, as in this scenario here. We have dollars set aside to meet this need. We have approximately $7 million available to meet the long-term needs of all 8 of our buildings, our district office, and for the purchase of this building here. So we have the money ready to go to make this purchase. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Oh, Deb.
I was under the understanding that Norris is already part of the Mukwonago Area School District.
No.
Why are we paying?
It's not. So if you take a look at that map there, and I know it's off in the corner, but in the lower right-hand corner, there's an area that's carved out in white there, and that's the North School District. They are their own school district that answers to their own board. We are not a part of them. They are not a part of us. Geographically speaking, it looks like they're kind of a part of our district, but they're not. They're a very unique district, probably the most unique district in the entire state, I'd say.
Would would other school districts without SOAR programs be able to send their students to us and we capitalize on filling the seats, so to speak?
I don't think we have plans for that right now because we don't have any issues filling our seats at the current time.
Okay, but if there were vacancies, would we be able to accept other district students?
Potentially.
Thanks.
Other questions? Anyone? This current year, I think the count was at 22 students. This building can have up to 30 students. That's our conditional use agreement with the village. We do have the zoning change in effect with the village, as well as a conditional use permit pending the final sale. So if the sale is completed, then the business zone that it currently resides in will flip to public, and we'll be able to use it as a school.
So Tom, just to clarify, if we were to not purchase this building and SOAR would go away, potentially, we would then have to send those 22 students currently that we have right now to one of the options that was listed on the slides. Is that correct?
Christine, do you want to answer that one, please?
I mean, without all of the student names in front of me, potentially, yes.
Okay.
I mean, or we would have a significant increase in dropouts.
Okay, so that's 22 students. The cheapest listed price up there was $25,000. So if my math is correct, that's $550,000 we would be spending in a year to educate those students.
Yes.
Okay.
When
Plus
we-
the transportation, which was another $15,000.
Correct.
Okay.
When we started this program, it was really, again, to take care of our community's students, take care of our own. And really, we couldn't ignore the cost that was involved in sending a student out of district.
Right.
So to really take care of our kids, ourselves, and to be wise stewards of taxpayer dollars, operating our own program was a no-brainer. Dale?
And being in the SOAR program here in the district, we'd have control of the curriculum and the help the students would need.
That's correct. 30 students is the max we can have. If we exceeded that number, we'd have to go back to the village to revisit our conditional use to increase the number. But based on the number of parking spots and all those things, they obviously don't want 200 people in a building of that size. So we're just, 30 is the number we agreed to with the village. If we had to go back and increase that, I'm sure we could, but there is a limit. It's not limitless. What happens when I'm done? I'm going home. Oh, thank you. I don't know that will ever be done. I mean, as a school district, I can't think of a scenario where the Mukwonago Area School District doesn't cease to exist, or these kids in our district will have this need. This is common in other school districts. You'll find an alternative placement setting that's within the district, so this would be our permanent facility to host this program. I don't think there would ever be an end, a finish line, so to speak, that we would cross. In an ideal world, kids wouldn't need this, but this world's not ideal, so we make solutions ourselves.
I mean, SOAR is, I know that I'm always on the emotional side of things, but like SOAR is a personalized pathway for our students who just don't fit into our traditional mold, and not every kid learns the same way. And so SOAR has, yeah, at the high school level. And so it has just, there's like narrative after narrative of stories from students that SOAR has made just such an impact in their lives, and they've graduated successfully and gone on to careers, or they've gone on to college, and they wouldn't have been able to do it if they had stayed in the traditional high school setting. It just wasn't going to meet their needs. And so it's an incredible environment. We have awesome staff who are dedicated to our students. Jody Jonas was here at one of our board meetings. If you guys recall, she runs our GETO 2 program. She'll be at our SOAR program next year. And we have great kids, like awesome kids in our SOAR program. And it allows us to truly meet the needs of all of the kids in our school district. So I can't say enough about it, and you guys know where my heart's gonna lie, so.
Tom?
Yes.
So I have an older brother, and we are quite different, I would say. He was one of the students that didn't necessarily fit into that traditional learning environment and struggled at Mukwonago High School. My parents put him into the SOAR program, and that allowed him to further his education and graduate. And now he's working like good full-time job. So that's just one of my personal stories, and I felt that it was kind of fitting to share that because it just goes to show the successes of the program.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions? Deb? No, there's no garage there. It has parking on the north and west sides. I suppose we could. First things first is to buy the building. I guess we're just kind of focused on that piece right now, to be honest. Any other? I don't mean to speak for you, but I guess at this point, if there are no other questions, if someone's making a
Okay,
motion.
so action item, the purchase of 917 Main Street, Mukwonago.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of 917 Main Street, Mukwonago, Wisconsin, 53149. Be it resolved that $665,000 be approved to acquire the land and building at 917 Main Street, Mukwonago, Wisconsin, 53149, to be used for the purpose of operating an off-site alternative education program.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jake. Any more discussion?
Yes. I would just like to comment that we are here for all of our students, and this is a great program where, as we heard, that students are successful coming out of here, and as a community, we're only as good as our school system, and we don't give up on our students.
Okay, can we have a show of hands if you're in favor of this motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Vito? Does he-
Hand is up too.
That'd be 19, I believe. Motion passes.
That's it. Adjourn the meeting.
I'll
make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Regular meeting now. Are we going right into the regular meeting?
Yes. All right, I'm calling this meeting to order Monday, April 22nd. This is our regular board meeting. Would you please call the roll, Laura?
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
This is an open meeting and it has been posted. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. right. The first order of business will be the election of officers. The state of Wisconsin requires the Mukwonago Area School Board to recognize and elect officers of the board annually. This must take place on or after the fourth Monday in April and within a set time limit of 30 days. I will proceed with the election of the president, and then elected president will take over from there. Here's some information. When you vote for board officers, you have 4 choices of how we can do it. We can do it by typical voice vote, we can do it by roll call, we can do it by show of hands, or we can do it by secret ballot. This is the one time that you can do it by secret ballot. How would you like to vote?
Voice vote.
Voice? Show of hands?
Show of hands is easy to count.
Show of hands?
Show of hands.
Okay, seems like show of hands it is. Then any school board member can nominate another school board member. You can also nominate yourself. You can also vote for yourself. Once nominated, I will ask the board member who has been nominated if they would like to serve in this position. Next, I will need to have a majority of votes of board members present. Tonight, we have 9 board members present. Thus, if you want to be elected president, you have to have at least 5 votes. I will ask for nominations. I will ask 3 times, and then I will close the nominations. Oh, I thought that was Vito talking. Sorry. When you vote for board officers, you have 4 choices. You can do it by a typical voice vote, we can do it by roll call vote, or we can do it by secret ballot or show of hands. This is the one time that you can do it by secret ballot. How would you like to vote?
Show of hands.
Show of hands? Okay. The process for determining the president for the upcoming year is now called to order. I'll start by taking nominations for school board president.
I'd like to nominate Dale Porter for school board president.
I accept.
Do we need a second?
What's that?
Do you need a second?
No, we're gonna vote.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we are going to go to a vote, and we'll do it by a show of hands. All those in favor of my nomination, Dale Porter, please raise your hand. I'm good.
You abstaining?
Laura, you got to do the count. All right. All right, thank you very much. Now I'll start by taking nominations for school board vice president. Jake?
I'd like to nominate Craig Verts.
Craig, do you accept?
Sure.
Craig Verse accepts. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, can we see a show of hands for Craig Verts as vice president? Vito? Sorry. Congratulations, Craig. You are now the vice president. We are going to move on now for the nominations for treasurer. Looking for a nomination.
I'd like to nominate Jake Heiligenthal as treasurer.
Jake, do you accept?
I accept.
Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of Jake being the treasurer, raise your hand. All right, congratulations, Jake. We are going to move on to clerk. We are looking for a nomination for our clerk.
I'll nominate Crosby.
Sure.
Okay. Very good.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Crosby as the new clerk, please raise your hand. Congratulations, Crosby. All right, now we're going to move on to elections of, or we're going to have the CISA 1 nomination.
So just for some background, we are a member of the Cooperative Education Service Agency, CISA 1. It generally covers Milwaukee County, Waukesha County, part of Washington County, Ozaukee County. CISA provides us with a number of educational services, particularly low incidence services through special ed. They also host a number of our local professional meetings, Superintendent Association, Curriculum Association. Student Services has a group through there as well. So we are a member. The CISA does have a board that oversees things. They also have a board of, like a kind of a governance board that oversees it. So we'd be looking for a rep to be connected to CISA 1 should they have a meeting that required a school board representative.
Craig?
I would like to assign Mike Gooch, or I'd like to nominate Michael Gooch for that position.
Second.
Do I have to accept?
And I think, do you accept Mike?
I accept.
Mike is a longtime, you were a teacher, correct, Mike? I think it would be good for you to be involved in this.
Substitute teacher.
Substitute teacher, same thing. You're very important to the COG. Thank you very much.
Just so the board knows, we do have a place down below under action items then to approve these this evening.
Okay. It was me. But I'll second it later when we're on action items.
All right, moving on to the WASB Delegate Assembly nomination.
And again, just for background, the delegate assembly meets down at the WASB convention, represents our district position for all of the resolutions that come in around the state. Sometimes the meetings are an hour in length, sometimes they are 5 hours in length. It just depends on the year and the topic. But that does occur in January at the state education convention in Milwaukee.
I'd like to nominate Eric Schwartz.
I accept.
All right. We are going to move on to, well, we don't have any recognitions today. Citizens' comments.
First up is Deb Sweetchick. Deb, you have 3 minutes, and I'll give you a 30-second warning, okay? Thank you.
Hello. I took a tour of the high school lunchroom, was very impressed. Pam runs a tight ship. I was very amazed at the array of food that was there, almost as if we have a restaurant going on, but she said it is not cost prohibitive and there is a profit, so who am I to say anything? My main concern is with the elementary school third entree. I feel that all the students in our school have a third option, and that is they can bring their lunch from home, which is a cold lunch. I think this is a little bit too much, and we're also expecting too much of our teachers to have to get all this information, get it sent out. They're here to teach. Let's let them teach. It used to be you would get in the morning who has hot lunch, who's getting milk, you sent it to the cafeteria, and that was it. Now they have to find, okay, you want this lunch, okay, and you want this lunch, and you're having milk, and now we're gonna add another option of something that kids can get from school. I just think it's unnecessary. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Anyone else?
Nope.
All right, citizens' comments is closed. We are going to move on to the student representative report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So we are going to start with Mukwonago High School. Our DECA club, ran by Mr. Blehaj and Miss Crab, was recognized nationally this month for having the highest percentage increase in club membership in Wisconsin. MHS DECA also had 6 student members compete at the state level, 3 of which were finalists in their events. April 1st through the 5th was National Associate Principals Week. We recognized and appreciated all the hard work of our supportive APs. April 4th was National School Librarian Day. In our district, each building has a school librarian. Becky Bretza at Big Bend, Trisha Gregg at Clarendon, Anna Mack at Eagleville and Prairie View, Tiffany Koopman at Rolling Hills, Jody Kujawa at Section, Carrie Adams at Parkview, and Danielle Brannon at the high school. On April 25th, Mr. Kruger's Exploring Computer Science students will light up the Hone Bridge with their programs. Additionally, band members Catherine Wilhelm and Vito Schwartz were selected to perform with the nationally recognized Wisconsin State Honors Band and Orchestra for the upcoming school year. 8 people auditioned for the WSMA State Honors Project and got in, which is the most in the state from one school. Most schools only have 1 or 2 students. We would like to congratulate Adele Bartline, Lily Gorkowski, Raina Jellish, Owen Kozlik, Harper Lawrence, Austin O'Connor, Leah Whitty, and Avea Ziegler for this accomplishment. Additionally, 4 students from MHS SAVE went to North Carolina for the National SAVE Summit. I was one of those students. It was absolutely amazing, as it always is. These students presented during a breakout session to discuss the various activities that our club does at the high school to promote a culture of inclusivity to prevent school violence. Various schools throughout the country were present at the conference as well. Furthermore, MHS SAVE will be going to Big Bend Elementary School on April 25th to do activities with students in their SAVE club. There are approximately 60 elementary students at Big Bend that are in the club. High school students will be doing activities to enforce being kind to others and being inclusive to others to make everyone feel welcome at school. Brook Life Student Center Art Club and MHS SAVE worked collaboratively to create a positive post-it note mural that has traveled throughout each of the schools in the Mukwonago Area School District since February. It is currently at MHS in the PAC, so if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to stop by. And that is it for Mukwonago.
Moving on to Parkview. Parkview's girls volleyball season concluded the week before spring break with 2 teams at each grade level, 32 8th graders participating, 28 7th graders participating, and each team playing 12 matches. The Student Government Leadership Board participated in the Wisconsin Association of School Council, where they listened to keynote speakers and participated in discussions with their peers. Parkview brought home 6 gold medals for Best Project, Scrapbook, Prepared Speech, Button, Banner, and Writing competitions. Sophia Jaramillo was elected VP for the WASC Region 4 and will represent our district in the statewide meetings throughout the 2024-2025 school year. PVMS had a chance to view the solar eclipse, which was a great experience for students. And congratulations to Mrs. Harrell for being the Mukwonago Rotary Club Educator of the Month. Automation and robotics students made their rescue bots, which were prototype designs made to autonomously deliver projects to people in need.
All right, now for Prairie View Elementary. Students in grades 3rd through 6th participated in board exam testing from April 8th to the 12th. This was an exciting opportunity for students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills. To kick off this important event, they had a prep rally on Friday, April 5th, where they encouraged all their students to bring their A game and showcase all they've learned throughout the year. Moving on, they're getting ready to have their Scholastic Book Fair and VIP Lunch Week. From April 22nd through the 26th, Prairie View will be hosting their Scholastic Book Fair and VIP Lunch Week. The Scholastic Book Fair will also be in full swing, offering the opportunity for students to purchase books to support our students' love for reading. On April 8th, 2024, students and staff had the incredible opportunity to witness the solar eclipse. Under the careful guidance of their staff, students observed this rare celestial event.
Moving on to SOAR. SOAR students provided community service to the food pantry during March and April, where they sorted food, prepared Easter baskets, and stocked shelves. Students also visited Pet Sweets in Brookfield, where they learned about operating a business and possible employment opportunities there. Students also visited UW Milwaukee and UW Whitewater to look at college and career planning. One student is now interested in pursuing a degree in business administration.
Now for Rolling Hills Elementary, we would like to congratulate their Kiwanis 6th grade students of the year, Braden Berry, Evie Abraham, and Carter Schilling on their recognition for this honor. It is very well deserved. Additionally, their 3rd grade students participated in a lesson as part of their social studies unit on manufacturing and production with their very own Jelly Bean Bunny factory. Students learned very quickly that their supply chain could not keep up with the great demand for their product. Rolling Hills also kicked off this year's Forward exam with a good luck video created by the kindergarten through 2nd grade classes, and they reviewed great test-taking strategies. All students were also given a personal note of encouragement from their teacher. Many students will also be participating in several field trips that begin this month. The 4th grade students' trip to Madison, the 3rd grade trip to Discovery World, the 5th grade trip to Retzler Nature Center, and the kindergarten trip to Sunset Playhouse, just to name a few. They also had an awesome art show and spaghetti dinner featuring artwork with the theme Under the Sea.
Moving on to community education, Terry Buckman leads a line dancing class on Wednesday nights, which has proved to be a great social opportunity for the community. Beth Engelking is working with 4th through 6th graders at Prairie View to create felted beanbags. John Grundman works at Section with adults to lead the Fun with Clay class. Josh Schuf's Pound Fit class for kids has been shown increasing interest and helps to get kids moving. A bread making class taught by Emily Witkowski has started with this past class learning how to make sourdough bread, and future classes will include bagels, pretzels, and more bread. These classes, as well as others, are posted on the community education website, and we encourage everyone to get out there and try them.
Now to Clarendon Elementary. The Clarendon Special Education staff and their student council embarked on a mission to spread kindness by sponsoring an Inclusion Awareness Week with the mission to spread kindness. In addition, they held a food drive with all items going to the Mukwonago food pantry. It was a really great week for Clarendon. Clarendon's annual art show was also held on April 11th. This year's theme was pop art. Miss Phillips and their students did an amazing job. Thank you to our PTG for sponsoring an ice cream treat for all the children who attended the event as well. Miss Stockwell and Miss Leonard's class joined up with Miss Lay's class from PVMS to view the solar eclipse, and they participated in a science activity led by her 8th grade students. It was a great day of collaboration for all the students.
Eagleville students took a trip to trackside skating to learn about friction and the forces of motion, which was fun for all students. The March Reading Month encouraged students to read to earn prizes. The all-school goal was met, where students were given a free activity hour to play board games, watch a movie, and do arts and crafts. Mrs. Mack worked to bring the TOSA block party to Eagleville, where students learned about coding with Legos and other science-related challenges.
Then we have Section Elementary. The 1st and 2nd grade spring concert was held on Tuesday, April 16th. The concert theme was Who Took the Farmer's Hat? This particular concert was designed as an extension of the newly adopted First Steps in Music curriculum. Then the week of April 15th through the 19th, the Section Student Council hosted a supply drive for the Hope Center in Waukesha. Each day, specific supplies were requested to be donated. As the items were counted daily, the grade level with the most donations earned a gold feather to use toward a grade level reward. Then lastly, we have our student concerns, and the only one on the list is amendment to policy 0141.1. Thank you.
Thank you.
We would also just like to welcome the new board members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also like to say thank you to Nick Redinger for meeting the Rolling Hills Elementary 4th grade student and welcoming us there. He also, if you go into the floor, you're not allowed to sit in the seats unless you're welcomed there by a representative. And he let the kids sit in the seats and he explained to them how the operation works. So thank you, Nick Redinger, if you're watching. Moving on to consent agenda. We're looking for the approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes and approval of the vouchers and receipts. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, consent agenda is approved. Up next is personnel topics.
All right, for the director's report, last month I presented on the support staff handbook, and I'll be bringing that back in May to give you an update. We're just continuing to make edits and solicit feedback from all of our stakeholders who are impacted by that. Any questions?
Nope. Any questions? No.
Tom, are you able to, with my presentation for the stay interviews? I have the stay interview presentation on the next agenda item. All right, so the next item is around our staff retention goal. Thank you. So we have two strategic objectives that target staff retention. So we have one that we want 90% of staff retained for the 24-25 school year. We haven't really measured this in the past, so we created this goal based on the fact that we ideally, again, would like 90% of our staff to be retained. We don't know if we're shooting for the stars or if this is really, we've historically retained above 90%, again, because we haven't collected that data before. The other strategic objective is that we want 90% of our staff to respond favorably, so we want them to say agree or strongly agree to the statement that they would recommend MASD as a great place to work. So this is people who work in our system who are telling a positive story, telling and sharing a positive narrative about their workplace environment. So we surveyed our staff in the fall, and only 59.5% of employees who took the survey, and so that was 344 participants, agreed or strongly agreed to that statement. And so we knew we had some work to do because, again, our goal is that 90% of our staff are responding favorably to that question. And so from the time we took that survey until now, we've implemented quite a few retention strategies, 2 of which were stay interviews and then teacher advisory focus groups. And both serve different purposes. So a stay interview is a strategy where we're meeting one-on-one with an employee, and we're having a pretty candid conversation where I ask the employee the same questions, but it's really that one-on-one conversation. I'm digging into that employee's specific experience. Teacher advisory focus groups, what we did there was our executive cabinet met with the teacher advisory, and those focus groups are intended to really dive a little bit deeper into the conversation. The participants in a focus group are building off of each other's ideas. They're building a shared experience around the questions that we're asking. And so, again, it's still a candid discussion, but it typically lends to a little bit of a deeper insight into what we're trying to establish. And so what were we asking them? In the stay interviews, we were trying to get at what are the factors that cause you to enjoy your position, enjoy working in the district, what gets in the way of that, what are some of the barriers that you have experienced, and how did you overcome them so that you remained here, what accomplishments are you most proud of, and then we ended with, is there anything else that you want me to know, so that if I didn't ask something that they were dying to tell me, I gave them that window to share that with me. In the focus groups, we really were asking what motivates or incentivizes people to do their best. Because these were conducted with our executive cabinet as a district office team, we honed in on, as a district office, what do we need to do more or less of? What strategies are impactful to improve culture and climate? How do you believe the district office can best support your work? We firmly believe here in the district office that we are here to support the work of buildings, not the other way around. They're not working for us. We should be working for them. And then describe the conditions that contribute to working your best. So over the course of conducting the state interviews, we established, the state interviews and the teacher advisory groups, we uncovered several themes. And so the themes that we uncovered, first and foremost, is that staff really enjoy the culture of community that exists here in Mukwonago. Teachers enjoy working with this community. They feel supported by parents, they feel supported by their administrators, and they feel supported by their colleagues. I couldn't find a teacher that didn't talk about their love for their students and the community of learners that they build in their classrooms. Additionally, we have a district goal around professional learning communities, the idea that teachers are going to get together with one another, talk about their work, talk about getting better at the work, and a common theme that we heard was that these have been an asset to the growth and development of teachers in their craft, particularly when implementing a new curriculum. So we heard a lot from teachers that, yes, there's a lot of new on our plate, and when we are doing it together, it actually makes the work better. So they appreciated the structures that have been prioritized. A second theme was around affirmation and celebration. So staff want to be recognized and celebrated for their efforts. There's a lot of great stuff happening here. That's evident by both quantitative and qualitative measures. And so one of the things that I heard a lot was the little things count. So yes, it's really nice to get a paycheck. Everybody can appreciate that. And what they would like to see more of are the little things. So thank you cards, the gift of time, right? So hey, it's a Friday, students have left, it's 75 degrees out, get out of here today, right? Like those little things can make all the difference in showing people that we appreciate that they're going the extra mile. Staff shout outs, vision keeper recognitions, those came up quite frequently. Most of the teachers' proudest accomplishments had to do with helping students to achieve success. And again, I think that just speaks to, we asked principals to nominate teachers for state interviews who were culture builders, teachers who exemplified the kind of values and the kind of characteristics that we want to keep in the district. And from there, we created a sample group of teachers that represented multiple grade levels, multiple content areas. And so, right, we're bringing in people that we want to stay. And so it was no surprise that these are teachers who are clearly student-centered teachers, that their most proud work comes back to students. The other piece that we heard was that they are continually asking us to look at our compensation plan and ensure that we are competitive with neighboring districts. They want to make sure that we can proudly say Mukwonago is not underpaying their teachers, that we are comparable, and that we are being fairly compensated for the work that they do. And we'll talk about that in our action steps. A third theme was input. They want to know their feedback and expertise is valued. It was very clear, please don't ask for fake feedback. Don't tell me that you want my opinion and then completely disregard it. They want to have more input into professional development opportunities and see a more differentiated approach to that professional development. So one of the things I heard a lot was, if you've been into a classroom, you know that one size does not fit all. Teachers are expected to teach to the edges, and yet they felt that sometimes when they go into professional development, they're all asked to do the same thing. And so they want to be treated as individual teachers coming into the professional learning with different skill sets and see a more differentiated approach to professional learning, just like they are asked to do in their classrooms. They seek transparency and a desire to have their voices heard when systems level decisions are made. So we talked about things like the calendar, we talked about things like early release, and while they might not always agree, they want to make sure that there's transparency and that they have a voice. And then I think a big positive was, sometimes you hear, right, in systems, the district and then the buildings, and that really was debunked. One after the other, of that there's clear channels of communication that exist and teachers are comfortable using them. So I heard over and over, I go to my principal. If I'm not getting an answer, I know that I can talk to somebody in the district office. And if I'm not, like, it was very clear that people understand that they can go to various channels and really get the information that they're seeking. The last theme was around leadership, and probably not a surprise because the group that we chose to focus on for this round was on teaching staff, certified staff. And so we heard that they're looking for leaders to demonstrate flexibility when needed and treat their staff as professionals. So knowing, right, I have to treat each individual staff person as exactly that. They are seeking more visibility in their classrooms from both their building leadership as well as district leadership. They were appreciative. They felt that their principals are very protective of them around workload burnout, meeting overload, and initiative fatigue. And then they continue to desire a unified approach to system level work. So the PLC is a great example. They appreciate that when we say everybody's doing PLCs, that it doesn't matter if you teach at section or if you're teaching at Parkview, the expectation is that this is the goal. And so when we have system level work, they can appreciate that one building isn't pitted against another because of how that work is implemented. And that's important to them. So we conducted one round of these interviews. And while we definitely sought to make sure that we had representation again from wide variety of grade levels, content areas, it was our first round. We intend to do these again in the fall, as well as continue to implement additional action steps around staff retention. But we were able with this round to develop some short-term action steps to address this information. So first is in the effort to continue to build on the transparency that we heard teachers say that they really appreciated, and to continue to give them a voice around the systems level decisions that are made, we're going to develop a feedback mechanism between our district level teacher advisory group and the buildings. So right now, again, if we take something like the calendar, there wasn't really a clear channel of communication between the teacher advisory group where we seek input, or the staff handbook, for example, system level decisions where we seek input, and then going back to the building and sharing that information or collecting additional information. And so we're going to be working to develop a feedback mechanism. What does that look like? Does it look like taking 10 minutes in a staff meeting to do a report out? Does it look like putting information in the staff bulletin? And we'll be working with the teacher advisory group to talk about that because, they play a crucial role. Tom and I are continuing to evaluate our staff compensation plan. Our goal is obviously to continue to ensure that we are compensating fairly, that we are compensating against the market value, and we will continue to do so. We are going to be working with our building principals over the course of this summer to ensure that the professional development plans that are built for the 24-25 school year have had input from multiple stakeholders, including the building principal, the instructional coach, and then most importantly, each building has a guiding coalition. And that guiding coalition is composed of a teacher team that is representative of multiple grade levels and multiple content areas. And so ensuring that that guiding coalition has input into the professional learning, we're hoping does give that, again, input and voice into a more differentiated approach to the professional learning. We also know that to create a differentiated approach to PD, we need more than one person to lead professional development. And so we're also looking at our principals and our teacher leaders to build up that leadership expertise so that teachers feel comfortable sharing their expertise with others. And then lastly, we're going to administer the staff perception survey again in May to see if the interviews that we conducted along with some of our other efforts have increased our the perception data piece around the MASD being a great place to work. I'm going to end with this. So I say, why asking for feedback matters. So after we conducted this day interviews, I got this email, and I'm just going to read it briefly. I wanted to take a moment to extend my heartfelt gratitude for taking time to conduct a stay interview with me today. Your dedication to ensuring that teachers feel heard and valued within our school district truly speaks volumes about the current commitment to teacher retention and positive workplace culture. The opportunity to openly discuss my experiences, challenges, and personal achievements was incredibly meaningful to me, and I genuinely appreciate the supportive environment you created during our conversation. Knowing that MASD prioritizes fostering a culture of open communication and continuous improvement further solidifies my pride in being a part of this school district. This is a person who most likely, when we go back to this question, right, what are we trying to achieve? This is a person who most likely already said agree or strongly agree to this question. I would recommend the MASD is a great place to work. But what we're trying to do through this process is not only convince, right, this person, but I want that teacher to go and tell 5 other people that this is a priority for us and that this is something that we're taking seriously and it's feedback that we're taking and doing something with. And hopefully that person's experience resonates in the school so that we can see this 59.5 go up to 90, because that changes then the culture and the narrative of the district, and we now become, right, the best district, not that we aren't already, right, in Waukesha County, where you see 90% saying this is where I want to be. So I end with that, and then I'll take any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Yeah, real quick. I'm just curious, for those who either retire out of the system or leave to go to another school district, do we ever do exit surveys or interviews or offer them?
Yep, so everybody who leaves our system is offered an exit interview. They can either do it in person or with our letter of receipt of resignation. We link an exit Google survey. So they are given the option to schedule it with me, or if they're not comfortable doing that, they are given a survey link. And we do have that as well.
And do you have any idea, is it used, or do people just say, no, I'm done, I'm getting out of here?
So I haven't had nearly as many exit interviews just with the, in comparison to this data based on time of year, and I wasn't here last year. But our support staff definitely take advantage of our exit interviews. Our facilities managers do a great job of ensuring that. So far, the resignations that I have had mid-year have all taken me up on an opportunity to have an exit interview. I've only had 1 or 2 people do the Google the form.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Jake?
So we have do we have a communication plan around the actions that we're taking? Kind of a, this is what we heard, this is what we're doing. So I know you commented on the word of mouth and hoping someone that had a positive experience would tell 5 people, right?
Yeah.
But can't always count on that, right? So how
Yep.
do we, the most important thing, right, is that people know this is what we heard, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
And they can see it happening, right? And that
Yeah,
can drive.
absolutely. So we communicated this all out in our last key news for staff. So that's how it goes out to everybody. So I did write up here's the presentation, here's what we learned, here's what we're doing. In addition, I'll be doing this same presentation tomorrow night to our teacher advisory team. And I did explain in the write-up to our staff that I would be doing the presentation tonight and then tomorrow at teacher advisory. So right now, those are our mechanisms to kind of get it out there. I think that that's a continued area, though, of growth is, to your point, like how do we just continue to kind of let the masses know? Our key staff updates are right now how we send out mass communication to everybody, so that's what we used, but it's definitely an area of growth.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? I just want to say, when I was first elected to the board from staff, that was #1 complaint. Staff members would say they didn't have a voice when I asked if there was a state interview process, and there wasn't. So I just want to say I'm really happy you're leading the way on this. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to student learning topics.
So the only thing from last time was the K-5 math adoption, which is in action items, and we'll talk more about that then.
Okay. Going to move on to student service topics.
My director's report was just a recap of the PlayWorks program that we are looking to bring in through the Stronger Connections grant. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to finance and facility topics.
All right, so I brought information to you last meeting about the potential to prepay debt or defease debt, and I'll bring that information and options to you next month, and we'll make a decision in the month of May as to what you'd like to do there. I also reviewed our fund balance position as a district, and that really represents our financial health, and we're in a very, very good spot. And then finally, I brought information to you and some exhibits, statistics about the current 23-24 budget, year-to-date spending, and I have no concerns at this time where we are. So then I guess there's one more piece just for finance facilities, and that was just for food service. So no action here, but I'm just bringing some information back based on some questions that were asked. So I'll quickly go through this here. In terms of tiered pricing. So what would this look like? So just this is something you gave us the green light to pilot. So just as to give you an idea as to what this might look like, we will look to go to basically have our basic standard lunch at $3.15 and then to begin one higher price lunch at $4.50. And then you can see some of those options that we would offer that would be one of those $4.50 lunches, okay? So just to give you some ideas to what that might look like. Dale, you had asked a question about the National School Lunch Program. Some high schools withdraw from that, and in doing so, they forego some funding, but then they also have a little more freedoms and latitudes to do things in terms of what types of menus, what types of calories, what types of everything that they serve. So this information here shows you a few things here. So there's some federal sources of funds and some state sources. So for every paid lunch, so there's 802 on average meals served per day. 664 of those 802 pay the full price. We get a 48-cent reimbursement from the federal government, which totals $318.72 per day. We have 30 reduced price lunches that we get $3.93 for, and 108 free lunches served daily at $4.33 as the reimbursement. The USDA, Department of Agriculture, for all meals, all 802, provides 29.5 cents per meal served. And ultimately, that's not, they don't give that to us in the form of cash, but that's really a credit that we can buy food directly from the USDA. So if we want to buy chicken nuggets that they're selling, we can use the credit we amass to ultimately get free food from the USDA. And then those are all federal sources of funding. From the state, then for all 802 meals, we get 4.8 cents for each meal. So when you add that all up, it's about $1,180 per day. There's 179 days in the school year. 174 of them have lunch served. Days where we have the exams, they're half days. We don't serve lunch. So that's $205,000 annually. So just put that a little bit differently then. 101 of that 205, $101,000 is the cost of providing free and reduced lunches, and then the remaining $104,000. We have to figure out how to manage that. So if this is something we'd like to perhaps do at the high school level, and we take the next school year to figure out what would it look like, that's kind of we'd have to attack that gap, figure out how we can do that, and then maybe we could do this in about a year from now. I think to withdraw right now, could we do it? Sure. Would it be tough? Would there be a lot of financial risk? I think there would be. Okay. Parkview Middle School, so just a sample, what would the a la carte look like? So this just kind of gives you on the right-hand side a little bit of an idea. So these things, in addition to the $2.95 lunch, these are the additional things that our kids could buy. So you can see there's some healthy things. There's some Frito-Lay chips there. So some not so healthy things, but by and large, some pretty decent food there. So currently we aren't selling most of these things at all, really. So this is what an a la carte would look like at the middle school level. So a student, like currently at the middle school, the middle school, a student can purchase an extra entree for $1.80. Okay, so that would be in addition to their standard lunch. We do offer the PB&J Uncrustables every day for $1.20. And they can purchase anything that's on the basic menu. So if there's carrots, you can buy more. If there's whatever there might be on that standard lunch, you could buy more of that. So really, like in the considerations of starting the a la carte program, based on how much we put out there, so if I just scroll back, if we put all of these options out there, it's going to slow lines down. We might need to have another cashier there to accommodate the longer lines. But if we just added the most popular items on that list I just showed you, perhaps we wouldn't need another cashier So I think my initial recommendation is if we go down this path, let's just, again, all these things, just start a little bit smaller, and then we can grow it over time. But we could pick some of those popular items, perhaps, on the a la carte menu that I showed, and just start there. If there's student demand for more, we can meet it, okay? Again, this is just, these aren't final, this is just feedback and giving you some ideas. And then finally, with the, if there was a third option for the middle school, Gail, you had talked about just limit it to the older kids. So how that would look for grades 4 through 6 is that we would basically just have one standard item. So in week 1, whatever the 2 options were, we would offer a third option for each day of the week. So you could get a yogurt parfait Monday through Friday in addition to the 2 options. Cold pizza, turkey sub. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with this. I apologize. But yeah, teachers must take count for 3 items that can be difficult. So there's some things to think about if we were to go that route. So we'll keep having this conversation. I'll just kind of leave it at that as information I'm bringing back to you. I'll come back and see, I could take the temperature on how you guys feel about these things, in which way you want to go, and we can kind of start getting closer to final decisions here for the lunch program next year, okay? Okay, that's all I had.
Sun butter and jelly, is that what sun butter?
That's, yes, Craig, that's correct.
Okay, all right.
Any questions for Tom? All right, thank you, Tom. Moving on to action items, hires, retirements, and resignations.
All right, we have 4 teachers that were offered contracts for next year. Brenda Hodgenacki, Mukwonago High School math teacher. Jimmy Landwer, Parkview Middle School math teacher. Megan Gundrum, a Mukwonago High School English teacher. And then Lauren Van Kampen, a school psychologist at Section Elementary School. And just a point here that this year going into the hiring season for all of our new hires going into 24-25, I am meeting with them one-on-one, a little bit something different, but met with all of these. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Excited to bring them on board. And then we did have some resignations. Michelle Cottrell, Parkview Middle School Spanish teacher. Danny Fay, Mukwonago High School special education teacher. And then Sean Waller, principal of Big Bend Elementary School.
I make a motion that we approve the hire, retirements, resignations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Oops, sorry, Vito. All right, perfect. Motion carries. Moving on to designate the official newspaper and bank depositories.
All right, so this is an annual thing that we do. We always identify our official depository as a bank and newspaper as well. So looking for 2 separate motions. I'm recommending that we use the Waukesha Freeman as our official newspaper. And then we have 2 depositories, Citizens Bank of Mukwonago and the local government investment pool.
I'd like to make a motion, we use Waukesha Freeman and Citizens Bank.
Wait, hold up, make 2 separate
I'd like
motions.
to make a motion, we use Citizens Bank
Okay.
Second.
as our official depository.
There's 2 there, though,
And the local.
for the money.
And the local government investment pool.
Correct.
All right,
And I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the official newspaper for Mukwonago. So we're going to do that one first, just to make it clean, right? That's what you asked for, 2 separate, correct, motions?
sure, yeah, I think Craig made the motion for the bank, the
Okay,
Citizens Bank.
perfect.
I'd
All
like to
right,
rescind my motion. Let's do the Freeman first, okay?
Okay. Vito voted aye.
all right, we have a motion to have Waukesha Freeman as our official newspaper, and there was a second.
I'll second that as well.
So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the Waukesha Freeman being our official newspaper, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
All right, halfway there, guys.
I'm not gonna touch it.
All right. I'll make a motion that we have Citizens Bank and the LGIP for our banking purposes.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Moving on to the 24-25 board and committee meeting schedule.
Thank you. Earlier this month, we presented the proposed meeting dates for the Committee of the Whole and the School Board meeting. Highlighted just some features on that. In July, we're proposing one meeting, just this school board meeting on July 29th to cover business. Any items that would require a two meeting reading would be presented first on June 24th. So we'd be able to maintain that policy requirement. And this would give the board and our administrative team an opportunity to have that slot for some vacation time. Annual meeting, budget hearing would be September 30th. Just point that out to our community. Otherwise, we are meeting on the second Monday and the fourth Monday of the month, with some exceptions due to holidays in November, in December, and then spring break in March. Those are back-to-back second and then third Mondays of the month.
Jake?
I have a question. Could you refresh my memory on the 5:30 meeting on May 13th? It's a 5:30 start time.
May 13th?
First one?
Sorry,
Is that,
I don't know. Did you? It should be 6 o'clock, and we can amend that for the committee.
okay.
Thank you for catching that.
You're welcome. Someone's got to make a motion to approve it, and then it can get amended, right?
Correct. You can make the motion with the amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendment that we change the May 13th committee of the whole meeting to 6 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to make that change. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
We will have this posted to the website this week for the board and the community to plan around.
Move on to number 4, school board delegates to CISA, and number 1, the Board of Control and the WASB Delegate Assembly.
Earlier tonight, Mike and Eric accepted nominations to both.
Do we need to do anything?
We have to make a motion.
I make a motion that we have Mike be our CISA delegate, Mike Gooch be our CISA delegate, and Eric Schwartz be our WASB delegate at the January meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Moving on to K-5 math adoption recommendation.
Okay, so Michelle is coming up here to join us again. 2 weeks ago, we presented to you basically the process in choosing the next K-5 resource that we'd like to use for math. I would like to add to that we did hold a viewing session for the community that we advertised in our key news on Tuesday, April 16th. We had 4 families or individuals come to look at the materials, and we felt favorable that there was good news around all of those that were there. So we are tonight asking for our recommendations, 2 probably separate recommendations for the adoption of a new math resource. One for Eagleville, iReady, moving forward, and the other for K-5 math in our other 5 buildings, Bridges Mathematics. The total of both of them together equaling $274,155 and some change, which is well within our budget for an adoption cycle.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Bridges Mathematics for the buildings other than Eagleville.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for the K-5 math adoption. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Crosby?
I thought were we not doing bridges for 1 grade in Eagleville?
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, kindergarten at Eagleville. Thank you for that.
So we have to, I would like to make an amendment to include Eagleville kindergarten to the approval of Bridges mathematics.
Thank you.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the amendment to add Eagleville to the Bridges kindergarten program. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The amendment is adopted.
So then we have to vote on
Let
that.
the-
Yep, now we have to go on the K-5 math adoption.
Well, there's already a motion on the floor to adopt it for that, right? So then
Yeah, but we have to make a new motion with,
We'll need a motion for 1-6 at Eagleville.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt iReady for Eagleville, grade 1 through 6.
I'll second.
we have a motion and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, moving on to unfinished business.
All right.
Joe?
Yeah. So just a number of thank yous tonight. First, Stephanie just got done talking about the pilot for this and then approval of the math. The work that goes into a pilot for the teachers involved, I just want to make sure that we acknowledge and thank them. You know, they're opening up their classroom. They're adding to their professional load in order to review the materials, do extra planning, do the collaboration, and provide feedback. So just want to make sure that we acknowledge them. There's many teachers that do it. We do it across all subject areas. We do it each year. And it's worth noting that by their feedback, we make great decisions for our students, for our teachers, for our district ultimately. So thank you to them. I'd like to thank Sean Waller for his years of service at Big Bend. 14 years in the district, I believe, is what his service has been. There's a tremendous community there. He's of the highest level of care for his students, for his teachers. We really do appreciate all of his time and wish him well in his new position. Our spring sports, you know, all of our coaches, season by season, provide a lot, our advisors to the activities. I get kind of a bird's eye view of it every afternoon out of my window. I can see the track kids, I can see the baseball kids, and anytime we go by MHS, so just a tremendous thank you to our coaches and advisors this time of year. And as Rachel has presented just on the interview process that we've been going through, you see new teachers' names, you know, we have some administrators to consider. That's a lot of work too. You know, so I thank our principals, our coaches, and our teachers who take the time out of their day. Again, they provide feedback to us on the candidates. They provide their own unique perspectives, which allow us then to reflect and make the best hires for our system. So tremendously grateful for them and all they do there.
All right, thank you. I just want to take the time to welcome Eric Schwartz and Mike Gooch. And I was really excited to see them going to classes and learning, taking a lot of notes at a training seminar before they're even at their first board meeting. So that was good to see, and thank you very much. All right, moving on to referendum and next steps.
So yeah, so Tom and I are just going to kind of do a high-level overview. You know, obviously, and we've said it before, we did not get the results we wanted a couple of weeks ago, but we did learn a lot, you know, through that particular process. I mean, the first thing, 46% of our community did support the project that we had put out there. As Tom and I went forward through public presentations, as we read emails, had phone conversations with individuals, we learned a lot and got a lot of feedback. The day after the referendum vote, we did have an internal meeting with our team, and we began to talk about just about what was some of the initial feedback that we heard. You know, and that ranged from you still have high school debt to this project is very high. We're under a reassessment in our area. We heard from some community members that given the local levy that went up over police and fire, you know, that had some concerns with adding additional debt to the project. So we took that kind of just, I don't know, it was kind of a lick our wounds meeting, threw some ideas around, and then we reconvened as a team face-to-face at MHS about a week and a half ago, I think it was, Tom, yep. And we had our construction management company, Cullen. We had Bray, the architectural firm that we work with. We had Baird, our financial advisor through the project. We had School Perceptions on. They were the group that put our survey together. And we began to discuss what the outcomes were. And, you know, just essentially coming back, not necessarily for a plan for the next project, but how do we go about soliciting as much information from our community as we can? One of the things that kind of popped out from people was, hey, we didn't know, you know, there was a lot of work that went into that referendum project that had happened over a couple-year period of time. But the thing that really got people to start pay attention was when we sent out that mailer that said $102.3 million. I think that was what opened up some folks' eyes. And we know that people are engaged and that they're paying attention now. I do believe and heard from many people that this is a need for our system. The middle school in particular is a need, which was great to hear. But people started to talk a little bit about timing with the high school debt, timing with the police and fire piece, timing with the reassessment. So again, you know, good feedback for us, and really to start talking about what we do next. Tom, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I will. So, you know, we work with School Perceptions, and they helped us launch the survey. We put some weight into the results of that survey, and it did not play out the way that we thought. But ultimately, you know, they issued 23 surveys throughout the state, and they were correct on 20. We were one of the 3 that missed. So, again, it is 46% voted in favor of. It wasn't that far off. You know, there's a lot of other smaller numbers than 46. So it's you could definitely tell that there is some support from the community for this.
So one of our next steps, and we'll be coming back on May 13th at the Committee of the Whole, we're going to be bringing in our team to talk about a community survey, another survey, a post-mortem survey, you know, to ask folks about what would they be willing to support, and why did they vote the way they voted. We want to dig into the no vote on this project. We want to understand, was it because of cost? Was it because of timing with the project? Was it because of the scope of the project? Or was it just you don't want to support the project, period? So we do want to be able to go back to the community and ask that question. We do want to use that feedback or that survey opportunity to inform people. So as we talked about the project and really focusing on cost, one, the high school debt component of it, is that a barrier? If we paid off more debt, what would that look like? We do have new interest rates out there right now. When we first factored this, the interest rates were much higher. In the time between the planning to where we're at right now, interest rates have gone down. So we're going to take a look at the financial program that was behind this referendum question as well. And then we're also going to look at scope. We're currently taking a look at the current Parkview building. There was a section of it that was built in, I believe it was 1993. You know, as part of that, something that could be incorporated in the project, and again, be something that would be a cost saving. So as we go forward on the 13th, we're going to come to the board with a survey or a concept of a survey and begin to talk, because ideally we would be getting that information at the end of May and then at the beginning of June, where that survey was being deployed. Because if there are steps that we can take, if the community says yes to things, we can go forward with that. If the community at that time says, no, we don't have any interest right now, then we begin to take a look at more holistically what that plan needs to be, and then what would be the timing of it. You know, is it more high school debt that's paid off? Do we get through this round of reassessment so people can kind of see what that does to their taxes and their property value and so on and so forth? So that's what we're looking to do. And tonight we put this on just to make sure that you know as a board that we're not letting the project essentially go away, or that the concept of a middle school go away, but also that we're at that reflection point and that feedback. We need the feedback from our community outside of a simple no. We need to know the why behind it.
All right, thank you. What?
You know, Joe, I think the community is engaged, which is awesome. I once had a farmer tell me a long time ago, he said, Vertsy, we don't need no damn pool in that school. We got Phantom Lake. You know, so, and again, we're still a destination district. I believe that.
Yep.
And we're going to grow it, no doubt about it. And I think it's just a matter of looking at it again. We're good.
All right, up next is the executive session. In accordance to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, we'll be discussing administrator contracts and update on litigation on policy 5514. I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session and a roll call.
I make a motion we go into executive session.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Crosby, roll call, please.
Craig Burtz,
Here.
Carolyn Simon,
Yes.
Vito Schwartz, Eric Schwartz,
Here.
Dale Porter,
Yes.
Gail Lesage,
Yes.
Jake Heilingenthal,
Yes.
Mike Gooch,
Here.
Crosby Bugenhagen, yes.
All right, we're going to go into executive session, and we'll take a 5-minute break. an open session at 8:39. Just want to address that I made a mistake with we missed the Bridges K-5 math curriculum after the amendment. So I'm looking for a motion to amend the agenda.
I will make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
I will make a motion to approve Bridges. Was it Bridges?
Yes.
Okay. For Eagleville Kindergarten and K-5 for the rest of the buildings.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of Bridges for the K-5 curriculum. Any questions or comments?
Is it K-5 or K-6?
K-5. Through 6, right?
K-5 through 6?
Through 6.
Through 5. 6th grade is
K-5.
good ideas. We're
Got it.
looking for
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Now we're going to move on to the approval of the hires. We're looking for a motion to approve Angela Little, Megan Jelinek, is that correct?
Yep.
And Deborah Paradowski.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3 hires.
I second.
We have a motion, a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, we're looking for a motion to close.
I'd like the motion, we close, we exit.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Do we need a roll call on this one or just a voice vote?
Now we can do a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,